Goal today is get as much done as possible, so it would make sense for you to have your Chromebook loading up right now, even though I'm going to go over a few questions with you guys. And all of this is going to be recorded, so if you decide that you need to go back and see it again, you can go back and see it again. If we're doing a problem up here that you know, oh, I already did that, I got it right, you're okay to ignore what I'm doing, but you're not okay to be talking at the same time, because your neighbor might actually want to be listening. But it's really tough to tell your friend to shut up because you need math help. Yeah, obviously Will seems comfortable telling Chase that. But it's really tough. You have to respect that your brain is yours and your friend's brains are your friends. You don't know what they feel confident on or not. And I know the trap doors that we've been falling into. Because I went and checked the data from what practices we've done. So, make sure you've read this. Your goal is effectively get as much work done today as possible, but I'm going to review some questions. When I'm reviewing these questions, I'm going to be using random cards. So even if you're not paying attention, you need to look up there and figure out what would the next step be, right? You don't need to know immediately, but what would the next step be to work towards isolating that variable? Reminder, because apparently some people have been telling their parents that they're confused. I don't understand how you're confused when the due dates are right next to the assignment. But effectively, I'm making the due dates the night it's assigned. I gave you guys a little bit of extra time the first couple weeks of school. But you should be doing that night's homework that night. If you can't, that's okay. You can do it late, but you're doing it late. So I used to give too much extra time. Kids would not do it till the due date, and then you're behind. You're always practicing behind. You need to be trying to practice the day's lessons work that night. So from people that did do last night's homework, here's some of the trap doors, especially that first one got 5 of you. That first one there got 5 of you. And that's just of the people that actually did it, because not everyone got it done yet. But Eva, when you look at g divided by -4 minus 5, in your head, what do you think the first step towards isolating g should be?
Plus 5, basically minus 5. Because instead of PEMDAS, it is SADMEEP.
It's what?
SADMEEP.
SADMEEP?
Yes.
I like that. So, because this is really a -5, right? That is actually adding a -5, or you can think of it like subtraction. Eva said we want to add because a -5 plus 5, that wipes each other out, but we got to do it on both sides. If you had not seen last year that you could draw a dotted line or just a light line down from the equal sign, that keeps us fair left side, right side, right? So Eva said add 5, I agree. You could be writing these down because if you haven't seen these problems, you probably will. You don't have to, but I'm just saying you could. And here's where everyone fell in the trap door. And I know this because I can look at what wrong answers you guys wrote. And while I've taught this for a decade, I can figure out what you did. Carter, you're still not here. We miss you. Your card just got folded. Caroline, if g's divided by -4, what's the inverse operation I want to do here? Yeah, now be careful because how you set it over here, we're really just doing this to wipe out the -4 on the bottom. The math we need to think about is actually the 8 times -4, and here's where a lot of you fell in the trap door. 8 times what number? -4. So what's 8 times -4? Negative. What's 8 times 4? 32. A lot of you accidentally put positive 32. Over here, Liam, help me out. What would I do first? Subtract. Subtract 8 from both sides. You don't have to write down all of these, but I grabbed the ones that looked like they had the most trap doors. -13 minus 8, or you could do plus -8 to make your brain not have to think as hard. We're just putting 13 and 8 together, going farther negative. So -21, I believe. now equals r divided by 9. Jack, how do I undo division by 9? Yeah, you undo division by multiplying. If you want to write it like this so you can see the 9 on top and bottom to wipe each other out, you can. That's not the symbol I meant to draw because we want to multiply by 9. Ooh, negative 189? Yeah. Sloppy handwriting. On these, this was what I tried to tell you guys about during class yesterday, but I don't know that we necessarily listened. Oh, Kyrie, you're gone too. Feel better. Lila, do I have to distribute the negative 7? No. What could I do instead? If I don't want to do the multiplication, because this I could multiply, but if I don't want to do that, how do I undo it? What's the opposite of multiplying? Divide. Guys, we could divide by negative 7. That wipes each other out. But over here, be careful. If you have one negative in your division, it turns negative. So 42, what's 6? So negative 6 now equals z minus 3. And I think we can all figure out, anybody, what would we do now to get z by itself? Add 3. Tricky part is, when we go to add 3, since this is negative, oh, come on, give me the color that I wanted. When we go to add 3, this actually becomes negative 3 equal to z. Chase, in this middle one, if I don't want to distribute, what could I do first? Divide by what?
Divide by negative.
Negative 4, right? If we divide by negative 4, these wipe each other out. I get w plus 1. Ooh, negative divided by negative. What's a negative divided by negative? Positive. And then how do we get w by itself now? Subtract 1. Madeline, what could I do first over here in this last one? We could divide by 5. Now, guys, you can, if you want to, you can do this. You could get 5x plus 5. That's fine. You could. Or, I think it's a little quicker and a little less math. Because you're going to have to divide eventually. So like Madeline said, let's do divide by 5. What's negative 30 divided by 5? Negative 6. How would I now get x by itself? Questions? Those were big trapdoors. And fraction work. Big trapdoors here. Arya, what would I do first? If I had h divided by 14 minus 2/7. And guys, some of you haven't seen these problems yet because you haven't tried this assignment yet. You might literally have this problem in front of you like 5 minutes from now. If you choose not to write it down, that's your choice, but the video will not be up for at least like an hour. It takes time for the video to upload. So, Arya, what could I do? I have division by 14, and I have minus 2/7. So what if instead we thought about this like minus 8? Let's say it was h divided by 14 minus 8. What would you do that? If we're working up, would you say it was Eva SADMAP?
Yeah, SADMEEP.
SADMEEP? Because if it's not PEMDAS, yeah, SADMEEP. Although I disagree with that. Order of operations actually has 4 steps, not 6. We'll dig more into this later. There's really only 4 steps to the order of operations. But yeah, SADMEEP is funny. So we really want to undo addition subtraction first. You gonna throw it to somebody else, or you got it now? Yeah, and if it's not 8 and instead it's 2 sevenths, we would add the 2 sevenths to both sides. 3 sevenths plus 2 sevenths? 5 sevenths. H divided by 14. Guys, I think some of you are getting stuck by thinking that's just a fraction. Fractions are division. How do I undo H divided by 14? Times 14. We inverse operation. We do times 14. If you want to write it like this, you can. 90 over 7. Now I know we could cross reduce. If you want to cross reduce, you could really just reduce your 14 and your 7 with each other. If you want to. You don't have to. But if you want to, 14 and 7 can both divide by 7, making this 2 and making that 1, which really gets us... Did I do that wrong? What's 5 times 14? It's not 90, it's 70. Come on, Hudson. 14 times 5 would have been 7. I can't write today. 70 over 7, or if we cross reduce, either way, we're getting to 10. And if you have questions as you get to those, that's also why I wanted today to be work day. What could we do first here, Rowan? Yeah, we could divide by -5, which actually I think cleans up this problem a little bit. Divide by -5. What's a negative divided by a negative? Positive. Careful, negative divided by. So now P plus 3/5 equals positive 4/5. I think that's way easier to work with than what they were giving us up here. But if you want to distribute, you can. You can distribute, or you could avoid distributing by dividing first. And then here, same story with decimals, but this is different. Instead of dividing by 0.5, because that just feels awkward, how can I turn 0.5 into 1? Guys, this is the last problem I'm going over, then I'm letting you guys work. Last problem I'm going over. Because you just got back, you got to throw something into class, Lydia. So, guys, division by 0.5 is the same thing as saying I'm going to multiply by 2. 2 times the 0.5 will give me 1. This turns into 1. I don't need to write that 1. So really, it's just r plus 2.75 equals 6. And then how do I get r by itself? Anybody? Subtract 2.75. Questions? Those are the trap doors I saw. Try not to step. All right, go for it. You guys got a good more than 20 minutes. Guys, if you were trying to do these without writing anything down, I personally think you're crazy. And, like, not in a good way. But, like, crazy, I was crazy once. Is that not popular anymore? There's something, I think it was from the video, like, crazy, I was crazy once. And then it, like, circles back to the beginning. Yeah. Normally when I say something about crazy, somebody starts mumbling that. Anybody want any help with what you're looking at right now? I want to do math. And if you think the class would, well, if I think the class would benefit, I'm just going to put it up on the board and we're all going to do it together. So we could do the distribution of 7. It is a totally fine option. I realize that, like, how I've been teaching it sounds like it's a bad option. It's fine. So if you want to do that, we can do that. Or we can avoid the 7 multiplying by doing divide by 7. Which
So
would
I converted.
Sure, so we're going to divide everything by 7. I'm going to grab my whiteboard. Yeah, and you guys can be helping each other.
Yes, I converted them all.
That was probably an awkward shot of the side of my face right there.
All right, so let's do that division by 7. On the right side, it just kind of cancels it out. But on the left side, that division by 7 is actually going to matter. So we end up with, where's your paper? I'm not going to be the only one writing this down. So that 7 is gone because we divided by it. And I'm breaking my own rule of skipping into the second step. But you tell me if this still makes sense of how we got to the second step. So we divided by 7 over here, got that 7 to be gone. -3 divided by 7 from -3 sevenths. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's write that down. So now to get the y, yeah, careful because that's y. To get the y by itself, that's here. You guys might, you can always grab those whiteboards or whatever if you want something smoother to write on if the table's kind of rough. How do I get rid of that -9 seconds? At what? Now we really add it on both sides. We go right over here, we don't have to think about it. Over here, we do need to think about add 9
I don't know
sevenths.
how to like do it.
So, sweet, we have common denominators. So we're going to keep the common denominator. -3 plus, now be careful because you're not showing your steps. Which if you want to skip it, that's fine, but I always write down what we're doing so I can go back and remember, oh yeah, we did that. So, yeah, you end up with 6 sevenths. You actually add 9 sevenths. Is what we did. Because of over here is why we did it.
I got it.
You know, and you could write it over here too if you want to show that we did it on both sides. Because we got to keep things fair. Like the center line is saying if I do it on the left side of the equals, I got to do it on the right side. Here, are you ever going to take your markers home? It's okay if you want to. Try to remind you of extensions.
Oh wait, are you like one? Hey, I'm kind of stuck on this one.
Also, if you get something done and the grade needs changed, email me real quick. Anybody else? Taking requests. Not from you. Do you want to distribute first or first? Okay, sweet. That's totally fine. So then, I'm breaking my rule of jumping into the first step. Well, so hold on. I gotta catch up.
You're so
Because I
right.
can't.
This one is a random number.
So we
Like,
did the
it's
distribution of that 3 cubed, and 3 times 4 gave us 12.
In my notes, guys. Check it out.
So this is really plus 4.
Have all your notes. Like, never
Right. So now we go over 3 or 4. Not if we're all on the side of that big one in the backwards order. What do I do with this plus 4? How do I make rid of that plus 4?
Get these books right here. Yeah, like, that one's good. This is from the one I love.
How do I deal with that 3?
That was like the Django. I just like, these are just like all the answers. And like, oh,
How's
that's
it
like,
attached to
this is
you?
my wisdom.
Sorry, what is there addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? How are they attached? You're right, there's 3 cubes. If I tell you I have 3 markers, is that 3 plus markers? Is it 3 times the markers? Is it 3 divided by? So this is actually multiplication. This is probably where you're getting stuck on these problems. When there is a number right up against our variable, actually we got to that from multiply, right? We did 3 times 2. It might help at the multiplication symbol, which the only reason we don't show it is we get tired of writing it. And we just decided, okay, if I don't
So
show
you
it,
do -5
you might not show it until you get in the habit. So you do multiplication.
that So then we know that. Okay, so -5 times.
So we divide by the number we want to rid of. So the reason we're dividing is to get this to
So
one
then we know if we add these different together, then this has to
is
equal 1.
one.
So
Right, so
then
the
you,
reason that we're dividing
like that, has to
get rid of one
it's
coefficient.
like it's also negative.
So we're dividing by 3 on
No,
both
I did
sides.
kind of a weird way.
Wait, what did you say?
We get Q.
So -3, so you know that since this is -3 and you're adding these two together to get this, then this times this has to equal 1.
And it
And
takes
since we
like
know that
practicing
they're
a
both
few of
gonna
these to get
be
that
positive
confidence.
negatives that you add to get a
But once
negative,
you practice a few of them, you start to feel
then
a whole lot
we
better.
know that this has to be
So
something
there's your
different.
answer to that one. Try
So
another
then we
one on
know
your own. Then let me know more
1
help.
divided by
Try to run
5. Is there any more to it? I did just like. I did.
Alright,
Wait,
just one call.
we have the same one again. We're so lucky. Okay.
Alright, so they did the distribution, right, instead of dividing first.
So
Hey guys, just to make sure I've said this to everyone, I don't want you to think that like doing the distribution is wrong, because when we get to like the whole find the mistake problems, like you can do the distribution. That's totally fine. In my mind, it makes the numbers bigger, and then we're just going to make them smaller, so it feels silly, but it's fine. A lot of people do things I think are silly and are totally fine. So when you're going to find the mistake, the distribution is not the mistake, unless they did it wrong. Alright, so did they distribute right? 3 times x, 3 times 4, whoops.
no, because
Okay, so
see,
step
if
1
you're
is greater.
subtracting this,
So then how did they go from step 1 to step 2?
this has to so you add this and this, that's 5, 7. This has
What?
to be equivalent to 5, 7. So then
Well,
all you have to do is
what would they have done to get rid of that plus 12?
2. I
No,
don't
what would
really.
they have done on both sides? Because remember, we have to stay fair. We have to do the same thing on both sides. Write down 3x plus 12 equals -18.
15.
Because I don't know if you're saying it in a way that I think it's wrong, or you actually know how to do it right. So how do I get rid of this one?
3. So also 15.
Because algebra is all about you gotta do the same thing on both sides. What's the inverse operation? Add.
Okay. So
So what we're doing, sorry, you kept saying add. What we're doing is subtracting
good I am.
12.
Literally
So
sorry
for
about
this,
It's a really
you're 0, so 3x comes in. Yeah, so 3x comes in. What's this? Step 2 is ready. That's why I need you to stop and slow down. 3x came down. I think that now what do we do? We get from 3x to x. Did they do it correctly? Is there any mistake here? Good job. I had Tyler as a student for a while.
That's so heavy.
Does that make sense? So what do they do here to go from step 0 to
I
step
don't know
1?
whether I got look at it. Look at 100%. Okay, so
Step 12. I think it comes out to 3, doesn't it? Because you just said they added 12.
okay, we can do
Right. They did what? Well, what's negative 12 plus 12?
start my second one. Let's try the second one. Once you add it to
So the reason they added 12 to both sides is to work towards getting a W by itself. Right? No, it's not big.
oh yeah.
So how do I turn 1 half?
Huh?
Here. We are. Here, it didn't. How do you turn 1 4?
second one, and then we got to
So, if they times 4 over here, they times 4 over there, sweet. So then how do you get rid of plus 9? Did they do it right? How do you turn 1/3 into 1? Did they do it right?
Oh.
Walk it away now.
What do you mean?
Interruption. Would Raiden Gillis please report to the Perry May office? Raiden Gillis to the Perry May office for dismissal. Thank you.
I agree with everything up until you said that final number you said. I'm using capital G. Alright, so we had this, and you said you get rid of negative 0.9. What do we do? We're at negative, let's just call it negative 4. Right, it's 4 tenths, but negative 4. Negative 4 plus 9. Where do we end up? It's 0 point what? Well, what does this turn into? That G divided by 3. There we go. Becoming a pro. How we doing? Want some help or doing okay? Sweet. I'm just trying to, occupy myself.
What's equal to
Jack, you okay? You okay? Yeah. Okay. You kind of see me like you're staring off into space. And I see some drawings here instead of actual math. Let's make sure we're getting done as much as we can.
So what is 12 plus 3?
Anybody want help?
So in how what times 15 is 15? Yeah. That's like, I don't know really experience that. You got it. It's so not difficult, in my opinion.
Because I really wanted to make sure we all had confidence with this work before we kept moving forward, because the next stuff we're going to get into is with inequalities, where we're not equal. We're not equal. I wanted to make sure we felt good with equations first. There's a lot of right ways to get to Florida. As long as we all get to Disney, are you going to be mad that your friend drove a different route than you? Okay, this is not the argument. I really need to stop talking about Disney and say there's a lot of ways to get to Sandusky. As long as we all get to Cedar Point, I don't think anyone's going to be upset if we took different routes. You're missing the point. The point is there's multiple correct solution processes. This is future work. Alright, if you're all caught up, that's fine, but I haven't taught this to you guys yet. So it might be a little tough. So, crazy anywhere from that. I do see some numbers on here, you probably can right now. What is the 22? And then, ooh, they even, I didn't even read that one. So they set something up. So then they do a parentheses, x minus 0.35. What's that minus 0.35? I mean, here we can think about it like minus. I know we can't do it right now, but like, what is that? And the reason we're allowed to say minus is
I have
there's not that
Target,
much
YouTube,
it doesn't matter what you think of it, minus. I just have to ask you guys what you
Phoenix
do.
Map, Spotify,
What is, why is that happening? The
Comcast,
drinks
Desmos,
are.
Canva, Breakout, EU, Hello ID, and then these are my games.
So we save some money for each drink. Jenny pays that much money, right? Or the drinks on the same. So, essentially what it's saying, this question is, what is the x, right? If we solve for x, what do we figure out? The 3 is here. I like your product. X was the drink price before this.
But if I normally like, they don't know it's like.
Hey, I'm gonna pause the recording because otherwise my video will get flagged. So my people that are sick and playing along from at home feel better, but don't come back to school till you do. You gotta break the fourth wall. You gotta talk into the camera sometimes. Okay, Jack, can you explain what the fourth wall is? Have we talked about this? All right, Jack, what's the fourth wall?
So, in movies or shows, we only see like 3 walls of a certain scene, and the fourth wall is the one that we're looking through.
The fourth wall is the audience.
So, when somebody or a character looks at the fourth wall, that's breaking the fourth wall because nobody would expect them to have direct contact or reference.
So break the fourth wall, Jack. Say something through it.
I'll be so bad.
Sigma.
All right, now I'm pausing the video.